What is up? I am Miguel Antonio, and this is the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. On this episode, we have Jeff Means. He's founder and co-owner of KCs Cider Co. It's probably one of my favorite hard ciders out there. They have this rosé cider that is amazing. I can't wait to go buy some more. In this episode, though, we dive into what it looked like for them in 2020 to pivot in the middle of a pandemic. It's a great story. I learned a lot just by listening to it. I hope you guys will as well. We also dive into this concept of hustle, a thing that I typically really love, but we talked about the dangers behind it. It's going to be good. Hope you enjoy.
The Live and Create podcast.
Thing,
Nice.
Like that kind of thing, right?
Yep.
Like, did my normal job, did all that stuff, and back at the cidery was canning a new flavor that we have going out, and like just doing stuff, blocking and tackling and all that, and then let's see, what did I do after that? Oh, went back to Kansas City.
Okay.
Did a tasting. Went and checked in on another customer, then delivered some cases and kegs, then went back to St. Joe, did a little bit more work, and then sat down finally with my computer and did some of my normal job at night before going to bed. And that's just it's just every day. And
that's awesome though, man. That's some real entrepreneur stuff right there.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
it's a lot of juggling. It's a lot of prioritizing and. Well, yeah, man, I hate the word. I used to say hustle all the time.
Yeah.
Man, I've grown to kind of resent the ideas behind hustle.
I've had a weird mixed relationship with the word myself recently.
Yeah,
so
tell me about that.
Well, I'm curious though, where you're coming from on that, because I feel you.
Yeah, dude. So my problem with hustle is, it's not a complete answer to what people are actually trying to do. And so hustle has become this kind of toxic mentality that is, spin, leave everything else behind, blow through walls, do whatever you have to do to accomplish whatever it is that goal is that you're trying to accomplish.
Late broke, keep running.
Yeah, man, exactly. And I can appreciate that, and I get a lot of inspiration from that, but man, hustle can a lot of times become you're spinning, and then when you look back, it's like a tornado went through this entire portion of your life.
Yep.
And it's just, dude, how many dead bodies does, you know what I mean?
Right.
Metaphorically speaking, did you leave behind in order to accomplish that menial goal that actually wasn't greatness, wasn't success? It was just an accomplishment, and those in themselves have no inherent value. And so, good for you, man. You got 1,000 followers, or you got whatever, right? That you're trying to do, but you turn into an asshole doing it, right? And so
mow over the people you love the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of hustle, but man, that's not what it is.
Ben, really?
Come on, Ben.
No, I feel you, man. Because it's still a word that's in my vernacular. Sometimes I talk about it.
Sure.
But I've had a complicated relationship with it too, because I feel like I've constantly burned myself out. And actually, I'm on this physical journey of chasing this triathlon, which is so running and swimming at these distances, especially swimming.
Yeah.
That's been kind of the lesson for me, where it's you can just bang out 2 miles in the pool, but you hurt yourself, you tear your shoulder, you do something because you're not doing it properly. So to me, it's hustle is that idea of I'm just going to get out there and run 20 miles. But then you break your leg or you pull a muscle and you can't run for 3 months.
Yeah, shin splints, whatever.
Yeah, where if you do, I gravitate to the concept of do the work, do the actual work that you need to do, not all these other things. Focus on, with swimming, in the physical journey, it's been focus on the form. So if you actually slow it down, if you run slower, you learn how to run strangely faster when the race time comes. Or if you learn proper form, you don't have to work as hard to get the mileage you need. And so I've been trying to learn from that physical journey and apply it to my own business journey and creative journey. It's what are the things that I've just been wasting time,
right.
And I've just been hurting myself,
yeah,
which in turn hurts my family. Because even that was coming off my last tour about a year ago. I actually got back almost to this day. I was like, I hated it. I got to the end and I hated it. I loved the people I met. I loved the shows I got to play. But when I got back, I was like, I'm burnt out again. Can't keep doing this. Like, what is... So, yeah, I feel you. It's like, yeah, you just keep... Like you said, it's more about movement as opposed to the right movement. I'm becoming fascinated by what's the right movement. What's the right pace and rest and joy.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a lot of joy anymore.
Yeah.
And I was doing these interviews for the first season on my last tour.
Yeah.
And everyone kept coming back to this idea of joy and happiness when it came to living a great life.
Yeah.
And when I'm in my car for 8 hours going to the next city and things, there's a whole lot of complications with touring. And I'm just like,
certainly,
I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And everyone says it's about joy, but I'm not happy. I'm doing these interviews, but they're all teaching me that maybe the hustle isn't what I think it should be. So
crazy.
So that's interesting, though.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for bringing the cider.
Oh yeah,
KC
for sure.
Cider
Man.
Co.
Yeah. Hey. KCs Cider Co.
So when you think about that, like, have there been changes you've made personally off of this idea of maybe pulling away from the idea of hustle? Because obviously you're not afraid of working your ass off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like even the story you just described of like your last week is just what are the choices you're making that's making it different, that's maybe making it more healthy?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll just start by saying my priorities have changed. And that's definitely like just the start of it. Like, so this last year has been a really big year for me. First, like the cider company, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that. But also, I got married last year, so just had our 1-year anniversary like 6 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're still together. Amazing.
Boom.
Yes.
1 year down.
Mission accomplished.
You
everyone.
renegotiate every year. Like, hey, I think we're still gonna
we pulled the contract
forward.
out, and then there's a 180-day out clause. No, that's not true. Andrea, I love you very much, and I would never do that. So got married, bought a house. I've done a lot of adult things in the last year. The cider company has gotten a lot more mature at work, just different responsibilities, all that. And there's been a lot of checks lately where, you're a father of 4, you have more responsibilities now than you had yesterday. Yeah. And that's going to be true for the rest of your life.
Right.
Like you're just constantly going to be asked to carry more burdens of other people, sacrificially love people more and more, all those things. If you're a functioning adult who honestly like loves the people around you, I don't think you really have a lot of room to be all that selfish, at least not as much as you were yesterday. Right. I think like that's part of the journey is learning more and more and more how to love the people around you in order to and kind of like honestly in order to like even fulfill yourself. Yeah. Right. So for me, like my priorities have changed a lot.
Is it so for you? Like if you had to write down like 2 priorities right now off of that change, what are those priorities for you?
Yeah. Like one of them is a little more ethereal, the other is more tangible. I'll start with the first. One is I want to learn how to love people better. And that starts with my wife, and then my friends and my family and the people around me. But in the last year, just marriage is weird. It exposes like the worst parts of whatever is going on.
You can't hide it.
No, you can't hide anything.
When you're single, you're like, I'm feeling weird. I'm going to go home. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to be an asshole. I'm going to get out of this situation.
Yeah, so I'm just going to get out of the situation. Yeah. Where instead, it's like, man, I'm washing the dishes and I'm in a shitty mood. And are we allowed to cuss on this?
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Cool. All right.
I just said asshole, so
okay, cool.
We're okay. I'm not even going to put explicit. Just going to.
Just let YouTube censor us.
Daredevil. So there we go.
Oh man, you are wild. Yeah. So, you're washing the dishes, you're in a crappy mood, and your wife comes in and is saying, whatever, and you're already in a bad, you can't hide.
Right.
Whatever deep, dark nastiness that is going on in here is going to come out.
Yep.
And she's going to know me, in that way. And so it's really, it's exposing a lot of just like, I don't know, just the weird parts of Jeff. Right. That I didn't even necessarily have the fortitude to know about myself, right? And so that's definitely part of it. Is that so? I think that's a goal of mine. Is not
just
trying to
love more.
Yeah, love more, love better, love more authentically, love more sacrificially, even. And then the second one is more tangible, which is one of the big light, tunnel into the tunnel lighthouse type moments for me is like kind of just a family goal, which is I want to be financially independent from anything and anyone.
I love it.
And
I feel you.
So that's a super tangible one, right? So like the cider company, we all have day jobs. We don't take money from the cidery. We can't. The cidery isn't profitable in that way, right? And maybe it will be someday, but we all agree as a team that our goal isn't necessarily to make great cider, even though that is a sub goal of what our main goals are. Our main goals are to get to a spot in our lives where we're getting paid to be creative, to be unique, to be ourselves, to invest in making our little corner of the world a little bit better.
Right.
And cider just happens to be the thing that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And because of that, you could take what we're doing, and it could be a T-shirt and hat company instead of cider, and it would be the exact same culture. It would be, we got hemp in the shirts or whatever. It's all this stuff, and we handcrafted.
It's a mint infused hoodie.
It smells the best. It feels the best. It looks the best. We would take that same creative drive and do the exact same thing. Right. And one of the things so we collectively as a team, and then me specifically, that's part of our goal is we want to be financially independent. And what that means to us is we want to be able to create and do that full time. We want to be creatives, and we want to do that full time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
so those are kind of the two priorities.
That's cool to drive it, and I love that openness because most artists and entrepreneurs that I know, they have multiple streams going anyway. It's the way their brains work.
Yeah.
And I love that it opens the door for other directions. And even this last year, 2020, I've watched a lot of my friends who either own businesses or are touring artists, whether comedians or musicians, whatever, they're all having to adjust. And they're all having to find something new, even
Everyone
down to hey, we've seen some whiskey companies suddenly become hand sanitizer companies where it's having a larger goal than just this, which I'm glad you guys do this because
thank you.
Some great stuff.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah.
and even a larger goal, even for me, it's I want to do music and I love writing and performing, but performing's looked way different now. For a lot of artists. And I was lucky that I had actually decided to get off the road right before all the lockdown stuff happened. But I have friends who were on the road, when it was happening. But it's what does it look like? What is something that's bigger than that? And it's funny you say that because that's the idea for me as a passion is how do I control my life?
Yeah.
Not allow other people to dictate what's happening. And which is... maybe it's an arrogant thing to say, but as I look back on it, the times in my life I've been the happiest is when I've been the closest to that.
Excuse me, that was not COVID, by the way, just clearing my throat. So
I wish we could afford to do all the tests that like Joe Rogan tests everybody.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to trust me.
Yeah, it's all honor system here. Maybe I'll cut this out because now I don't know, but
we're gonna be. This will definitely censor us.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely a real thing.
We
We just can't afford to. Yeah, now I'm coughing. Thanks. Jeez.
Hashtag not COVID. All right.
I wear masks. I take it seriously.
I socially distance.
Yes.
And I've got my bubble.
We do our thing.
Miguel just happens to be in my bubble.
Yeah, we're in the bubble now.
We're in the bubble.
And if we have to, we will quarantine right here with Ben and Trey.
I'll bring the cider.
There we go. We'll live off cider.
We'll live off
for
cider
2 weeks
and not remember anything.
I've had a friend who's had to quarantine 3 times because of different things, and it's nuts. And they had it once, and they're actually at risk, but luckily it was a mild case.
Oh, good.
Where I've seen, unfortunately, seen some friends who have lost family members. A friend of mine, someone Ben and I know, lost their mother even, and so it's just been
I saw that. I know you're talking about.
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy year. So thinking of that, the ability, you have this higher purpose driving you. What does it look like for you to own a cider company? Sure. Trying to run a business, also working, I think almost your side job, because I think of, I think of you, I think of KC Cider as your main job. Yeah. But even though I know,
I'm sure my employers think of it the other way.
Yes, it's absolutely full time for you.
Yeah,
there.
It is, and it is. It is full time for sure.
Yeah.
This is KC Cider Co. is a night and weekend gig.
Right, and mornings.
Yeah, and mornings, early mornings.
Early morning drop-offs before
this morning.
the Zoom check-in.
Yeah.
But what does that look like for you? Any pivots you've had running the company? Any changes you guys have had to make in this last year?
Well, I think we're probably like everyone else. For the biggest thing that happened in the last year was COVID, right? So we actually placed a really big bet at the end of 2019. So 2019, we're 3 years into this company, and we are, essentially we look about the same at the end of 2019 as we did in 2016, 2017, right? So we kind of followed this really, really simple business model that we came up with at the beginning. We're going to do just this one thing. We're going to do it really well. We're going to try our hardest in this area. And we're getting to the spot into 2019 where we were kind of like, well, we need to crap or get off the pot. We need to, is this a real thing or is it not? And so we decided early, 2020 was going to be a big year for us. We decided early, and we kind of made the commitment as a team, as there's 3 of us, we made a commitment as a team that at the end of 2020, we were either going to look very different than we did at the end of 2019, or we were going to dissolve. We were going to be done. And
you guys made a bet.
Yeah. We literally put all the chips in. Yeah. So we decided, you know what that looks like. We had a number in our mind of what size we needed to be.
Right.
And we had some ideas on how to get there, and we made a big bet. We bought a bunch of apples, so we do all apples, are only available seasonally.
Right.
And we do everything locally, everything fresh. So we do all of our winemaking, all of our fermenting, all of that from October through January, maybe February. So we placed some really big bets. We brought in a ton of apples locally, worked with all of the farmers that we can work with, right, to really bring it all in. I think it ended up being triple the amount that we brought in the year before.
Okay.
So we were expecting to triple our size in a single year. And January, February was a struggle for sure, and we were, coming up with new ways and new strategies to grow to the level that we had it kind of in our head. And then obviously COVID happened.
Right.
And the 15 days to slow the spread was right. 15 days to slow the spread. Those were 15 days of dread for us, because we had placed this really big bet on how much cider we were going to make and sell in 2020. We only had a single sales channel, which was we fill up kegs with wine and we sell it to bars and restaurants, right?
And that's
overnight, all the bars and restaurants closed down. From February to March, our sales went down by 97.5%. Damn. So a couple of local, someone bought a keg before they shut down, kind of thing, right? It was a huge change for us, and we placed some really big bets. So we owed our farmers. We were kind of in a tight spot, and those 15 days were tough, and we were realistic about it and knew that this was going to continue. You know, like I think by day 5, we were all like, oh yeah, this is going to be, back then we thought we were being smart. We're like, oh, this is going to be like May or June.
Right.
This is going to be at least 6 months.
I can see that people think it'll be over 10 days.
No. Yes. We're intelligent,
yes.
and we think it'll last a few months.
You're ahead of the game, at least, in that way.
yeah, but you know, towards the end of that first 15 days, on a Saturday morning, we had this video call, which is normal for us because one of our owners is in St. Louis anyways. But we had this video call. I was sitting out in my backyard because it was a nice day in March, and we spent 2 or 3 hours as a team, as a small team, just like analyzing COVID every way we could, analyzing our business every way we could, just trying to figure out a way out of this mess. Right? And we couldn't do it. It goes down as probably the worst day in KCs Cider Co. history.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, I think everybody, I don't want to speak for my partners, but at least for me, walked away just feeling like it's all futile. I've just wasted the last 3 years of my life.
Yeah.
Do I need to sell my car? What do I need to do to try to pay off our, farmers? Because that's one of our values is like, we're not going to leave them hanging. We're going to try to figure out how to pay them.
So the sun's setting for you guys at this point. You're
Right.
just figuring out how do I salvage this and
Yeah.
take care of the people
Yeah.
and maybe get out without suffering too much pain.
Yeah, exactly. But over the course of the next 36 hours after that, I think all 3 of us, so every single partner, individually just had their own eureka moments of resolve and gumption. We talked about hustle earlier and the toxicity of hustle. I would like to replace that word with like gumption or perseverance or something like that, something that makes more sense.
A little more healthier.
Yeah. But just had this resolve of, and I think all 3 of us said this in a call the next day in different ways, but it was like, someone is going to survive. Someone is going to make it through this. Maybe it could be us. Maybe we can be those people. And we got, I'll fast forward, we got really lucky. We did a bunch of stuff different. We completely changed our business model. We accomplished our goal from last year, which is we look very different.
That's amazing.
Than we looked a year ago. We also got lucky, and I just want to say there are a bunch of people who weren't as lucky, and their creative venture, whatever they put their passion into, is gone now, maybe forever. And I just think that's a tragedy.
I feel you. That's where, like, we, in our own family, my wife owns her own business. She lost about 85% of her business overnight because of the nature of the lockdown, how it affected her business. And like I was trying to do a whole new career track at the time, and that got shut down for a second,
a while,
and there were some hard moments where it all ended up where we feel we're in a better position now. Yeah, but I feel very lucky. Yeah, because I have watched so many people, and they're still struggling through it today. So I do feel, and I don't. Some of it, like honestly, most of it is luck in that regard for us. Yeah. Like we were able to capitalize on the luck that came, but there's some things and opportunities even in her own business that popped up that were like, okay, let's take this. I can't believe it just came along because of the environment. And so for you guys though, what were some of the changes you made that you felt like leveraged the situation at this point? That I love what you talked about where someone's going to make it. Why can't it be us? I love that. What were the changes that you guys made to harness that?
So for us, like, we were pretty strapped on financing, and so we had to be pretty careful about what moves we made. But the biggest problem, just to like boil it down, the biggest problem for us was we had one single revenue stream, which we talked about earlier. We delivered kegs to bars and restaurants. Right? Well, the bars and restaurants are closed. So
even if the ones that are open are
doing a
drastically
quarter of their business,
right,
or less, right? So we needed to diversify in earnest for the first time in our time as KCs Cider Co. And it was late. We spent a lot of time early on kind of feeling sorry for ourselves. Like, oh, we should have done this so long ago.
I did a few weeks of just straight smoking every night on the back porch and drinking way too much wine and like it was rough, man.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was almost just a
and
like,
I know
seriously.
I bet at least half of the audience who's going to watch this are like, that was me.
I remember.
I was there. I'm still there in some ways.
So I'm super sappy and I love the show This Is Us. You ever watch that?
I've seen an episode.
So you're not as sappy as I am. I love it. Makes me cry every time. But they just had their season opener. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a baseball game. But anyways, they started their new season and it was all about the start of the pandemic. And Jenny and I are watching and we both like stopped. Like we were just like recoiling.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of forgot that how much this affected me.
Ben's going to break the fourth wall here.
There's been
take that.
But yeah, I had forgot how much that affected me and how stressful that was because to the idea and like I said, I was trying to pursue a different career track. My wife's business, I watched like completely be obliterated overnight, and everyone else is dealing with the same thing. No one knows what's happening. God, and we got sidetracked, but
it's rough,
was
rough.
A painful moment. But yeah, we had to stop watching it for a minute because I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
And then you see like the George Floyd incident, and you see they kind of unpacked those 3 months of insanity and intensity and pain that so much of America felt. That was like, whew. Anyways, I derailed you though.
I don't know, and I don't know when this is going to come out, but like, look, if you're watching this in 2023,
the way I do releases, this might come out 2023.
Put in the comments like. Put in the comments where we were wrong about our assessment. Honestly, like tell us. Like, we want to know. If you could send those comments back in time, we'd like to see them now.
That would be awesome.
But,
thank you. I'm shooting for a few weeks, so that's what I'm shooting for.
Right, okay.
I'm gonna get the episodes I got. So if you're just watching this and you haven't watched the past season, I filmed a whole season of this a year ago, and because
while you're on tour.
While I was on tour,
yeah,
and I got off tour and said I need to make a career change. I did that, which took up all my time, and then COVID happened, which took up, like as we just discussed, everything.
It's crazy, kids.
And then a year later, a friend of mine named Josh, is a great producer and just a great friend. He was like, "It does no one any good to sit on a hard drive, so put it out." He said, "Those people's stories are powerful. Put it out."
Yeah,
and so that kind of put the fire under my butt. So yeah, I'm shooting for a few weeks now. Crazy. On this one. I'm going to get a little better, unless we have another pandemic in between now and then. So COVID was insane. We'll probably all spend the next few years unpacking personally.
All of it. Yeah.
But for, again, back to you guys, the choices you were making, financing's low.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the dawn was kind of breaking, though, for you guys. You're seeing a little glimmer of hope.
Yeah, man.
And where did that take you guys?
Yeah, so definitely we felt like we were up against a corner for sure, and it didn't feel like there was any way out. But we've seemed to figure out a way out, and it's taken a lot of. Our business model has always been surrounded in the principle of simplicity, right? Like, just keep it simple. That's the only way we can execute well. We're not smart enough to, just keep it simple, right? But we were honestly like, and it just took a lot of hard reflection. We were on the verge of losing this career because we refused to complicate things. We were keeping it simple for the sake of it being simple, and that was going to drive us right into the ground.
Back to the one model that you had, of 2 restaurants.
And you know what? Like, I think ultimately what we learned about ourselves is we actually, we love simplicity, but we love adaptability more. Mm-hmm. And so that value just kind of started to come forward in our business. We, overnight, as who's the author who, I think it was like Holden Caulfield for the, he wrote On the Road, which is like this really classic novel about he's traveling to the West Coast and back, in the when was it? It was a long time ago.
I'll have to check it out.
It's been a while since I've read the book, but the book itself is a great book. It's a great read. You should read it. It's awesome, especially if you ever have wanderlust. It's definitely a great...
that's my life.
Yeah,
so
for
it's
sure.
wanderlust, bro.
Yeah, for sure. All of us. We're in lockdown. Please help us.
Like when we would tour with the band, I'd come back and we'd clean the van out, and then all the kids would pack their bags, and we went on a family tour. Like we're like, let's go 10 days on the road, and I was just 2 weeks into it. Let's just go.
Let's keep going.
I love that. That's honestly been one of the hardest switches. But anyways, the book.
The book itself didn't matter. It was the author. I think that's the book that he just like woke up one night and just started typing, and for like 72 straight hours typed. He was probably high on amphetamines because it was that time, but and then just
banging away.
Yeah, just banging away. Finished the book. It was a jumbling mess. You can still buy the like original transcript, and it's kind of hilarious how many issues there are, storyline issues, all that, right? But he just like. He had the vision. He sat down. He didn't leave until he was done, right? And that's kind of what it was. Like after that really bad meeting that we had, we were all just feeling sorry for ourselves. Each one of us just kind of individually had like that eureka moment that night, and just put together. I know I was like working with each of the partners individually, and I kind of compiled all these opportunities that we were missing in order to make it through. So overnight, we designed, built, published a website, turned on an online store, it sent out, because we needed new licensing to do that and different permits and things like that. So we sent all
the
that
fun
out.
red tape of owning a liquor.
Yeah. We're regulated, it turns out. Designing labels, making formulations, we have to get all that stuff approved. And so, doing all that. And, within weeks, we had gone from a business that looked like this to a business that looked like this, honestly. And it took us a couple of weeks, and it wasn't perfect, and it was hard. But overnight, we turned on subscriptions. It's this really cool thing where now, like, we actually have interactions with our customers, and the subscribers, they get like really special stuff that we're just testing. Just goes in a bottle and gets sent to them, and they can give us feedback,
which is super fun. So if you guys want to, I've had the chance to test some things. I'm not doing the subscription yet, full disclosure, but I've had the chance to test random things, and it's super fun. So you
go to kcciderco.com/Miguel and get. That's a lie. It's not a thing.
That would be amazing. Actually,
that would be cool.
We need to work on that.
Yeah, maybe we should. All right, anyways.
So full transformation, though.
Yeah, like full transformation, overnight transformation. Yeah. And, I'm like, look, we 2020 is not going to be one for the record books for any of us small guys.
Yeah.
Right? The big guys are doing fine. But the small guys, like, no one is breaking records right now. But I will say, all things considered, we're pretty close to, if not back to, where we were before COVID.
That's amazing.
The difference is our portfolio is way more diverse, way different. People have 7 times as many ways to get this cider than they did 6 months ago.
Yeah. That seems like it lays the groundwork, though, for 2021 to be even more powerful for you guys.
Yeah.
Because now all the strings are coming in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, it's kind of it's a cool story of everything coming together at the same time. Because right now, in my humble opinion, we're making the best cider we've ever been making. We've figured out some things that, the growing pains and all that. We've made it this far without ever going away from our values. We're still taking our time with this stuff. We're still using real apples from our local orchardists. We're still taking care of our farmers. We're still finding ways to be involved in the community and donate to charities. We're still ourselves. We're still figuring that out. But we've changed how we do all of those things.
Right.
And we're in a spot now where, I'm just so proud of my partners and me and all the people who, no one has ever gotten a paycheck from KC Cider Co. We don't have any employees.
That's that entrepreneur real life right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to build something great, here's a lot of pain and patience along the way.
So. Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. And so, I'm not the only one who's donating my time to make this happen, right? We've got an entire team of folks who are throwing their chips in the pot and saying like, hey, we believe in what you guys stand for. And yeah, you make really good cider too. So let's do this. And because of that, yeah, we're poised. Honestly, in a lot of ways, COVID has helped us realize the goals that we had at the end of 2019 of completely changing, right? Being a new company, it forced our hand.
Right.
It was kind of it was like a refiner's fire, right? I'm not saying we're like the Phoenix coming back. It's still 2020. Life still sucks. But,
You're like, we're still drudging through shit. But
but at least
it's a lot better smelling shit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No,
I can for the first time, I can pretty confidently say, like, we're not going anywhere.
And that's amazing.
To
say, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm not worried about closing our doors today.
Yeah.
It could still happen, but yeah, it's been crazy.
That's awesome. So, reprioritization. You guys are making these choices to expand the model in ways you did not want to, but it sounds like, in the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But now have all these avenues going. So many changes, marriage, new house. I think I remember you guys, like, I was actually next door, like, working or something at the coffee shop, and I think you guys came in with, like, paint on you or something. You're, like, remodeling or something.
Oh, yeah.
The new home. So you're
doing
doing all this stuff. Over this time, last year and a half, when you think of this idea of living a great life, to you, how would you define that? For you, what does it look like to live a great life?
Yeah. Well, look, it changes every day. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, what would...
I love that honest answer.
Yeah. I'm not trying to lie here.
Some person's got some big vision board, and you're like, no,
man.
It's going to change tomorrow.
That makes sense right now, but...
I love it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, like, what would, like, me as a kid say about that? And I had this, like, memory. So when I was, like, 4, 5, 6... I wanted to be an astronaut. That's what I really wanted to be, right? And this is, like, to me, like, a 6-year-old or 5-year-old Jeff would have been like, greatness is I'm an astronaut, and I'm, like, chilling out with moon rocks and, like, just doing all the cool stuff that astronauts do. And my dreams were shattered when I went to the Science Center in St. Louis and found they had these, like, girdles. You guys know what I'm talking about? And they had to, like, pee into the girdles.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, for this 5-year-old, I was like, oh yeah, I've wet my bed. I know what that feels like. I want nothing to do with it.
Oh, no. You don't want
nothing to do with that.
I was thinking you were like, shit, I do that all the time. I'm good.
I do that all the time. No, I was like, I want nothing to do with that. No, every time that happens, it's an accident. It only allegedly happens. Okay? Allegedly, I wet my bed when I was a kid.
So that was endgame for you.
Endgame, like, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm done. No longer astronaut. It just flipped like that. Just one thing. Changed this dream, this huge dream, just overnight.
Shattered.
Done. Yeah, I don't know. I think after that, I was like, well, I think my first job when I was like, young, like preteen, teen, was landscaping.
Okay.
And so I was like, then my dream was like, oh, I want to like build a golf course. What's the biggest thing that a landscaper can do? Yeah,
right.
Build a golf course or do something crazy like that. That was my dream. That was what living the great life meant. Was Jeff is gonna have a golf course, and my dreams weren't even that big though. Now that I'm thinking back, it was like I just wanted like a little executive 9-hole course.
Okay. You weren't thinking PGA Tour or nothing.
No. Yeah, I guess those were dark days. I didn't have very big aspirations at that point.
Yeah. 12-year-old Jeff was slacking, so.
Yeah. Well, my point is, like, the tangible parts of it change all the time.
Right.
What does living a great life look like? Or maybe another way of saying it is, like, what is a success, right? And you might have a dream, you might have a vision, and you might be, like, super resolved in that dream or that vision. But understand that, like, that's just a thing. Mm-hmm. And ultimately... Man, it's so cliche, but how many times have you heard in your life, like, success in life isn't the things that you own, but it's, the relationships and experiences, or, you've heard it a million different ways.
Right.
But you've heard it that way, and honestly, just the older I get, the less that's cliche and the more that's just, you know what? Like, yeah, I want to be financially independent. I have some tangible goals. Certainly I do. But, you know, if I get there and my wife has left me because I was an idiot, or my kids don't know me anymore, you know, what's the point?
Right.
What's the point? You know, we had several deaths in our family this year. One of them actually was a COVID death, but
Wow.
Isolation death. But
I see.
But so we've been met as a family. My wife and I, and my brother and my sister and my other brother. We've been met with this like mortality question a lot lately, and it's been very like. It's been very good for me. It's been very good for everyone in my family. It's like, you know what? Who cares? Like, who cares? You know, like, here's the thing. I'll go back to what I said earlier. Like, the cider company, of course, I want it to be successful. I want to blow the lid off this thing.
Right.
I want that more than most things. I want that. But I want it the right way. Like what you were saying. Do the work, do the right work.
Right.
You know? We could blow the lid off this thing right now and be leveraged up to our eyeballs.
Yep.
And relationships, you know, being, you know,
Eventually you have
away.
to screw over your farmers. Eventually you can't give to charity. Eventually, that was something I was thinking about as you were talking. It's like some businesses want to go so fast, and I've always wanted to go so fast. But often the slower approach allows you to do the things you actually wanted to do.
Yeah, man.
And live the way you want to live.
And I'm not saying, like, to use the football reference, I'm not saying, like, run it up the middle every time.
Yeah.
You know? We're living that right now as a company, you know. To expand on that analogy, we're throwing, you know, Hail Marys every once in a while. As I've said, we've gotten lucky a few times, right? But what I'm saying is, I think a lot of people put the task before the actual goal, which is, look, you want to be happy, you want to experience joy, you want to laugh as much as possible and cry as much as possible. And, you know, I think we're both getting older. I'm sure you've experienced, the older I get, man, the more I cry.
Yeah. I told you I watched This Is Us just so I can cry. Like, it's
crazy, man.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like
I hope my kids love me like that when I'm older. Oh my God.
All those decades of pent up emotions just like coming out all at once.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Who am I to tell people how to live their lives? And I'm not saying I have some wisdom that no one else has. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for me, look, man, this has to go the right way or it doesn't go. And that's true with the cidery. It's true with my relationships, with my wife, with my friends, with my family. Look, I'm not here to accomplish a net worth anymore.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'm here to do what I think I was put here to do, which is create. I think we're all makers, you know, and you're either redeeming the world with your actions or you're damning the world with your actions. It's just that simple. And who cares what your level of influence is? You still own a little corner of this world. You own it. And it's your responsibility to do right by it, you know? So, yeah, man, what's the point of owning a company? If charity isn't in your list of values, I'm calling you out right now. Like, change it. You're in it for the wrong reasons. You know, if you're not bettering your neighbor, your brother, your sister, what are you really in it for? And be explicit about it. Tell us so that I can shop other places, honestly.
Right.
That's what matters. That's what the goals are, really.
Yeah.
You know, when you boil it down. A lot of people ask about like your deathbed, whatever. Your deathbed is one day. Who cares what you think? You're probably
I care how you lived up to that point.
Who cares what you think about yourself on your deathbed? Like, honestly, if you're lucky, you probably won't remember much about that day. If you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Not to get it spiritual, but Who cares?
That is interesting.
You're probably senile.
It's like this, this 2-hour moment or 30-second moment for somebody.
Yeah. And if you're one of those people who's like making that speech for that last minute, dude, tell whoever you want to tell that thing right now. Just do it. You're not guaranteed a deathbed.
Like, who sang that song "In the Living Years"? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
In the living years. Was that Bruce Hornsby? No.
I don't know.
No.
Fact check. Do we have a fact checker?
It was like that era.
We don't have a real producer here.
Bruce Hornsby, In the Living Years. That's not Bruce Hornsby.
Where's Jamie?
That's just the way. Do we have a Jamie?
Hey Jamie,
Full disclosure. Yeah, we don't have Jamie. He just got COVID.
He just got COVID.
He did.
He was quarantined.
He literally was, like, for 10 days. So,
Did he really?
yeah.
Oh, no
He was
way.
the only one out of the whole crew. But, which is hilarious. But no, I think that concept, though, I can't remember who said it. It's like that idea of working to put up a ladder and climb up every rung of a ladder and then realize that you put the ladder up against the wrong wall. It's like it's like that image has always stuck with me. And honestly, that's what I've been asking a lot of. That's why I've made so many different changes in my own life, professionally and personally, over the last year and a half. Because it's like, I feel like I just keep putting the ladder on the wrong wall, trying to figure that out. And it sounds like you're finding that wall. You're like, this is the wall. I want to climb up some rungs,
No, I want to be explicitly clear. I'm probably on the wrong wall.
And maybe that's the part of it too. I actually referenced this same friend in the last interview right before you came in. A friend of mine named Evan. We just talk about, like, I love grand plans. I love detailing every little nuance. I feel like I can see those things and visionary kind of whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like if you get past step 2 and it wasn't the right step, you have to change, and then it changes all the pieces down the row.
Yeah.
And he keeps reminding me that as a great friend of just saying, hey, what's the next step? Just test this out. Is it right? Is it wrong? Figure it out, and then from there you can figure out the next step and just keep going slowly. Figure out what you really love. Where, it's like you talk about net worth, where I always had this like vision of what I needed for income and all these things, where we're actually making way less than I imagined that number to be.
Yeah.
And suddenly in our family, we're like, I'm actually really happy.
Yeah.
Because we made choices to, instead of trying to live, quote unquote, a more materialistic, bigger life, we just kind of dialed everything back, and we're like, you know what? This is kind of nice, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of enjoy that. And so it's like recalibrating every step.
Interesting.
It's an interesting way.
So how was that transition for you guys? Like going from, man, like Miguel, you are one of the most ambitious people I know. So just like context for the audience here, Miguel and I used to spend time, we would go to Anton's Steakhouse Sundays. They have half price bottles of wine.
Yeah.
We'd sit there for hours and just talk about our dreams, right? And just like, man, if we accomplished half,
Maybe be smoking cigars and rolling in Rolls Royces and shit. Like
Rolls Royce, I don't know,
I don't
Tesla.
know. I don't even like a Rolls Royce.
I don't know. What's the expensive car
Tesla's
these
much
days?
better.
Yeah.
I was actually, we were driving, my son and I on our way here, we were right behind a Tesla. I was like, damn, those are nice though.
Yeah, dude, they look
really
they look slick. They look really slick. So we used to just, back and forth. Oh, I want to do this. Yeah, and like, how do we do that? We're gonna take over the world.
Here's my business plan.
We're not even talking about like in our teens. Like this is like us in our 20s and 30s.
Grown ass men
just being like, we're gonna take this bitch over.
Right.
we're gonna. And I love that about you. But I am curious. Like, man, last year's been. I've heard part of your story. Like it's been a tough year. It's been a tough several years. Like as I think you and I are on similar paths, just like learning and questioning everything.
Yeah.
What do you have to share?
That's interesting. Like hearing you talk and thinking about what you had said something about, like if you reach these goals, but your wife, leaves you and your kids hate you, those kind of things. Those are things that I think about so much. And that last tour I was on, just 3 weeks gone, and I was by myself, which was new because I was used to touring with the band. And a lot of times Ben behind the camera would go with us too. So these are all my bandmates were like family. They're like, some of them lived with me. That kind of thing. We're so close. You didn't feel, I was away from my family, my boys and my wife, but touring solo, it really made me just question everything, because I was always alone. And even the people I was with were all new, which I love meeting new people, but they don't know you the way. So the band was always like an insulation. Because it was like, here's my people. And no matter what, at the end of the night, I'm going to go drink a whole lot of wine with Ben, our bass player, and Daniel's going to show us some cool videos on YouTube, and we're going to chill. Anyways, it just, ultimately, I had to wrestle with, what do I really want? And what is joy to me? And I constantly, throughout the last several years, I have this image of my wife and I being 70, swinging on like a little like porch swing, kind of looking over a field. I know it's super cheesy,
I get it.
But for me, it's like, I want to know in that moment that I lived a good life with her. I want to know in that moment that my kids are successful and they were inspired. And that's a big thing to me. I don't want to just provide financially for them. In fact, I don't even think that's the most important thing. I think the inspiration, honestly, is more important. Finances, yes, are important, but it's the inspiration, what life could look like.
Certainly.
And in that moment, it's like, I want to be able to look back and say, like, we did these things together. And I want to know she's happy. I want to know my kids are moving forward and inspiring other people. And it's like, how do I get to that point? And really, every move I made, even there was a brief time where I thought I was going to go into like landscaping and maybe like buy my own business within that realm.
Right.
And that was the financial piece, because we always struggle financially as a touring artist. But I realized I wasn't happy doing that. And I brought that unhappiness to my family, and I also realized I was dying inside. And I was no longer inspiring those around me.
Interesting.
Especially my kids. Where and again, not all of it, it's not like I had some grand plan either. It was just Jenny's business expanded where I was able to help her, and now we do it together. Which allows where we don't have to work as much individually. And we actually work together now, and that affords us the time to pursue these other creative endeavors during the day and to pursue them around our kids. And so at least right now, like in the realm I'm in, I'm loving doing that. I'm loving being home, writing music, editing videos, doing interviews. We're like, Trey's here, our oldest boy. He's doing virtual school in the back room.
It's awesome.
When he needs to, when he has
good
meetings.
kid, man. And
he's taking pictures and doing video, and like all the way down to our youngest kids are like starting YouTube channels and doing about drawing, and they're doing their drawings, their little owls and their little things, and it's just, I want to inspire them, and I want to leave that legacy behind. And even these things have kind of like inspired me, of like hearing the stories of everyone, how like even listening to you, I know it inspires me. It makes me think of things like, ooh, that's a great idea. I could apply that to what I'm doing and shift that. Or even like the people I'm meeting where I think before I was telling you, hey, I met this one guy, I think he'd be great for you to meet. Like realizing like, these are the things I love. How do I just do more of that? How do I find a way? Even if it means selling, like we sold our house. We got rid of debt. We it's like downsizing the things that most people don't want to do and see it as lack of success. For us was like the best decisions we ever made.
Removing burdens.
Exactly. Where we actually, it's funny, is like we downsized and we're in a place now where we're like, I never would have thought I'd like a place like this, but we love it. We love it more than where we were before. And I think part of it is just the stress of holding on to the shit we had.
Wow.
You know? So it's like making all those kind of choices and movements. It's again, it's not, there's no grand plan at this point. It's just like, no, this is right for the moment. Now let's figure out the next step. But yeah, thank you for asking, man. Yeah, it's been a crazy, really last few years. And this year, I think, honestly, COVID was one of those pause moments that I never gave myself.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just spent time smoking and drinking and at night and then hanging out with my family all day and not doing anything, not going anywhere.
Right.
Which I love doing anything and I love going anywhere I can. And so it was a good time to recalibrate and just see what you can live without and find out actually it's in some ways more enjoyable to live without a lot of things because it creates space for the things that you really want to live with.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny. I wonder how many people share that sentiment right now of like, there are a lot of folks who are just stuck looking at their four walls right now and seeing all the stuff they have. I wonder how many people are just going like straight, like minimalist, none of this matters.
Right.
Let's focus on what matters. So I know I've had a similar response as you. Like just, man, my priorities have changed.
Yeah.
Hard.
No, I feel you, man. That's for sure.
Wow. Dude, thanks for sharing.
No, thanks for asking, man. I appreciate it. Now, creation.
Yeah.
You're an artist through and through, whether it's music, whether it's alcohol.
Functioning artist.
Functioning alcoholic. Artist. That's what we say.
Functioning artist.
When you think of, well, to you, what does it mean to create great things?
What does it mean to create great things? Man, I love this. This was my favorite saying when I was a kid. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I still remember the first time I heard that and comprehended it. You know, it was like just one of those moments that was like, that. I like that. That makes sense. I'm going to stick with that. And I think that's really true. I'd say, like, I'm just going to reiterate something I said earlier about creators are creators. It's just that simple. Mm-hmm. And you can give a creator a pencil, you can give them a musical instrument, you can give them whatever. And they could be shit at whatever it is you give them. They're still going to create something. Yeah, I'm the worst drawer in the world. I'm so bad. But like in meetings, I'm sitting there, I've got a pen in my hand. Look, we're made to make, you know? And so I think to me, like winning in that area of like creating or being great or creating great things or greatness in general is, like what we were talking about earlier, you own this little corner of the world, however big or smaller that corner is. Your goal, your function, your existence is to make that world a little better. You're either redeeming it or you're damning it, you know? And creating great things is just part of that function. Is you as a human are built to make stuff, whether it's tangibly or intangibly, whether it's videos or film or it's art or you're building a house or whatever. You know, I've told people for a really long time that you could take the owners of KCs Cider Co., my company. You could take the owners of my company and give us a different company, completely different. It could be friggin' credit swaps on the financial market and Wall Street. It could be credit default swaps. That's what they're called. Credit default swaps. Or it could be
super fun business.
Yeah, super fun. Yeah, really exciting business. Or it could be building houses. Or it could be making shirts and hats or cider. Or whatever. You know, the philosophy stays the same because the philosophy is all central around the maker, the creator, and the goals of any human being are to create something unique, different, put your stamp here, hopefully for the better of all humanity, whether that's, you know, you actually are in a position to impact everybody or not. So for us, like, we're a really, really small company. There's 3 of us. You know, we tripled our inbound like apples that we bought last year, and that's still like a speck, you know, compared to even our competitors in the state,
Right.
You know, we're small. But whether it's making cider or making music, you know, I'm a recovering failed musician.
I've been that several times.
Yeah, I've been it a couple times now. Yeah. You know, I bet I could write a lot of albums about failing in the music industry. Yeah. Tough subject. Or making music or filming or doing podcasts or talking with people. The truth of the matter is we're made to create.
Yeah.
And as long as you're doing that in earnest, as long as you're doing that being true to yourself, as long as you're not compromised in yourself and your self-worth and your self-identity, your identity of who you are, man, that's probably going to be great. It's probably going to be great. And you know what? How you measure greatness probably matters more than whether or not I think it's great. Because that's just one slider, right? Is public opinion or Jeff's opinion. That's probably not a slider on yours, right? You probably don't care what I think.
I like the ideas of sliders on there.
Other people's opinion or public opinion, you know. But there's all these other things, man. What are you bringing to just beautification of our world? What do you think about it? Does it bring you joy or happiness or self-worth? Are you loving the people around you with your art, right? Are you a positive influence? You know, even if you're not, dude, it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
You know, what's great to you may not be great to me. And ultimately, like, man, I hate the question, like, if you could go back, like, say something to your 25-year-old self, whoa, what would you say? I don't know, man. I probably wouldn't say a thing to him because he was an asshole. He was like,
I wouldn't hang out with him.
I wouldn't hang out with him.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know if I honestly would hang out with the 25-year-old me.
Right? Look, like, part of creating great things is also becoming a great human being. And I think really ultimately, as long as you're growing, as long as you're learning, as long as you're taking the stuff, when I say learning, I mean taking the stuff that you have absorbed and applying it.
Yeah.
If you're applying learnings to your life and you're truly trying to become a better human being for yourself and for the people around you, dude, I guarantee you're creating great things. Guarantee it.
Yeah.
It's impossible for you not to create great things if that's what you're trying to do, because that's what you were built to do, is what I believe.
Yeah.
And so, man, I don't know. I'm not trying to get super philosophical, although I enjoy philosophizing with you.
They are philosophical questions, though, so it's okay. It's okay.
To put it real for me, I'm really proud of this cider. I'm really proud of it because it's years and years and years and years of myself, my partner Trafe, my brother Brad, the three of us, working really, really hard to get as close to perfection as we can with the resources that are given to us, right? And if instead of KC Cider Co., it was KC Cool Shirt and Hat Co., I would say the exact same thing. I'd say the exact same thing. This is the best product that our minds could put together and create for you. And I can say with honesty, it's without compromise. It is what it is because it came out of that creative mentality, out of a goal of being unique and different and creative. And so, I don't know, man. I think I'm creating great things. It's all relative. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I'm going to open a bottle of this rosé and I'm going to be like,
what were we thinking?
This sucks. Yeah.
Our new rosé is so much better.
Our new rosé is so much better than this, right? You know, because we're all humans, we're all living, we're all learning, we're all applying our learnings to become better versions of ourselves. And I don't think if any of us are being honest with ourselves, none of us would hang out with our 10 years ago self.
Right. And if you did, I kind of question your progression in a sense.
Yeah, man.
Because it's like all of us are learning different things.
If you think 25-year-old you, if you're over the age of 25, if 15-year-old you, whatever, is just super awesome, you might be an asshole. You like,
Or you peaked in high school.
yeah, or you peaked in high school. Yeah, man, we're all learning, and we're like, and you know what? Like, full respect to you for who you are. By the way, like, I'm not trying to make you feel bad about yourself, but yeah, maybe you need to start thinking about your personal growth.
Well, and that's the thing is, if you did peak in high school or college or at this one pinnacle in your career as an adult, but life has sucked since then, the reality is we're in control of our lives. And so what are the choices you're making at this point to change that? It's not like everything's going to be a constant, up and to the right, but at the end, we're responsible for our own happiness and our own joy. And you got to be able to change those things.
Yeah, man.
So.
I love these faces.
We got a
It's
cameo
wonderful.
for Daniel Cole.
What's up?
Oh, I didn't know that was. I wasn't born. Staying in.
Man,
Next week.
that is the next interview. We'll cue it up. Well done, D. Cole. I love it.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Man, thank you so much, though. Thank you for
man, and cheers.
Thank you for not giving up on this.
Dude, I really
appreciate
appreciate and I appreciate you putting out good content and being your creative self.
Thank you, man.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Live and Create podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment or a review.
The Live and Create podcast.